Hey everybody. Today we're going to talk about the history of Thanksgiving, Part 1, Love and Marriage. Now our story does not begin in Denver, and Thanksgiving did not begin in Colorado. It didn't even begin in the United States. No, the story of Thanksgiving begins on the other side of the world, about 2,000 miles away from here in England. Almost 500 years ago. That's even older than Miss Mans. It starts with Henry VIII, who was the King of England. And if you look at this painting of Henry, you see that he was a large man and he had a large personality. It also involves his wife, Catherine of Aragon. And it involved Pope Clement VII, the boss of the Roman Catholic Church, which is the church that most people in those days in Europe belonged to. And he was kind of a big deal. Now, for a lot of reasons, Henry didn't want to be married to Catherine anymore. He just wasn't that into her, and that made her sad. But Pope Clement wouldn't annul their marriage. Think of the word annul as a do-over. So King Henry wanted to do his marriage over again and marry somebody different. But because Pope Clement was the boss of the Catholic Church, and he's the one who approved of their marriage in the first place, he did not want to annul their marriage. And King Henry said, please. And Pope Clement said, no. And King Henry said, pretty please? Nah. With sprinkles on top? Sprinkles? Yes. Nope. So Henry had a clever idea. He said, I'll just start my own church. But Pope Clement was ready for that, and his response was, wait, what? So Henry started the Church of England and made himself the boss. And before we go any further, I just want to point out that all of this seriously happened. That means he allowed himself to leave Catherine. There she goes. But it also meant something larger for everybody. He made a law that everyone in England had to belong to the Church of England. Now, if you didn't want to change your religion and you liked the church that you belonged to, that was really not a cool thing for King Henry to do. One of those groups was called the Pilgrims, and they didn't want to join the Church of England. And they said, we kind of like the religion we have, though. And King Henry, being the reasonable man that he was, said, I kind of don't care. That left the Pilgrims with two choices. Either stay in England and join the Church of England, which was run by that really nice guy right there, or they could move to America where they could worship freely, which would mean crossing the ocean about 2,000 miles. Ultimately, they chose to move. Now, they didn't move with a truck the way we think of today. This was 500 years ago. They moved in a boat that didn't have an engine in it. It was pushed by air, by wind. And that meant a very long and very dangerous boat trip across the Atlantic Ocean. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. Thanks, Henry. Now, before we go, let's classify the people from Part 1. Of course, when we classify things, we make a tree map. Let's title it Thanksgiving Part 1 or Tea-Giving Part 1. Let's label the first branch King Henry VIII. The second branch, Catherine of Aragon. The third branch, Pope Clement VII. And the fourth branch, Pilgrims. And we're going to write down or classify what is important about each one of these to today's story. Well, King Henry VIII wanted to leave his wife Catherine. To do that, he started the Church of England and put himself in charge. Now, I'm going to let you guys work independently or work as a whole group to finish the rest of the information here and classify things about Catherine of Aragon, Pope Clement VII, and the Pilgrims. Think of the reasons we talked about today that each one of those played a part in today's story. And tomorrow we will talk about the Pilgrims crossing the ocean.